I know you faced addiction with your parents and you lived in a home with addiction. So I want to kind of start off. What's the first memory you have as a child realizing something was deeply wrong at home?
My dad always did a really good job at trying to hide it from me. So I wasn't one of those kids who grew up in a house with, domestic violence. And my dad was very, very clear that he wanted to try and keep me separate from his challenges as best as he possibly could. My parents separated when I was really young, so I have no memory of them being together. My mum has always been healthy and happy and those things. And my dad has been the one who's had his challenges. And the first time I've really sort of caught on that something may have been going wrong was when my dad wouldn't show up for things. And, like I would call him yesterday or the day before, I should say. I would call him the day before and say, "Hey, like I'm really looking forward to seeing you." And he goes, "Yep, I'll pick you up at, whatever." And nothing would happen. And then I would call days later, or, we would get back in touch and he would have no memory of like making the arrangement. And so I started to go like, okay, something's going on here. So that was probably like my first clue, definitely.
Can you share like a specific moment or maybe even an event from your childhood that you feel can still profoundly and maybe it still even impacts you today?
It was a series of events that really, really impacted me. But the cycle that I went through was that I would motivate my dad and say, "I believe in you. You can do this." We would look into getting him help, and then we would find it, and he would go away for 60 or 90 days and get straight and then come back. And then anywhere from a few weeks to a couple of months later, he would relapse again. And so the cycle would sort of repeat like through that. And I was his rock, like trying to pull him through that. But I think by way of the things that still impact me today, like I've said this to certain clients, that like my first heartbreak wasn't with a woman. My first heartbreak was through my dad, because every time I went through that cycle, I had just a little bit less faith. So like the first time I was like super motivated, like we got him through, we'd celebrate together. I would feel like I'd done my job to help him get through that. And then he would relapse and I'd be heartbroken and disappointed and sad and all those things. And then I'd say, "All right, Max, come on, let's try this again."